welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching the show. We're on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area. Keep getting calls from Cranberry, Wexford. I mean, not on the station here, as far away as Uniontown. Only Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. And Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook just hit a new high, 2,517 likes. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. We got a lot of sports to talk about. Even though there's no Penguins, there's no Steelers, there's no Pirates, we got sports here. Smoking Jim is now hooked up. He's always on time. He was tonight. We appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner. Zach Brenner, Little Z, switch seats.
Feels good to be in the seat.
Smoking Jim Frazier is in the cleanup position, and he's going to lead off with what's on our mind. Smoking Jim, what's on our mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Hey, you know, everybody gets on me each and every week. They want this stuff, man. So this week in Black History, it's Michael Jordan's birthday. He's 51 years old, and he just had a set of twins. So everything's still working good for Michael Jordan. Everybody wants to know, congratulations. You guys can make a copy of this. Congratulations. 8 Division I scholarships for Gateway seniors this year.
Is that a new record?
Scholar. That's a tie as one of the Gateway's records.
Who won the Quad A championship?
Oh, Chip, my man, Chip. And last but not least, Ray Rice is in the news in Atlantic City. Supposedly him and his girlfriend got in a fight, and I guess Ray might have uppercutted her. So don't hit women, no matter what they do. But
there's more on your mind.
You got more. What were you?
He asked you what's on your mind, and you've already hit us with 3 things.
But the spotlight player of the week, got to go to Auburn's outside linebacker, D Ford. I'm pushing for D Ford to be a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. He played defensive end and outside linebacker at Auburn. I'm going on record to saying that he has the best burst I've seen since Derek Thomas, the late, great Derek Thomas. The Pittsburgh Steelers right now look like they got an overabundance of outside linebackers on paper, but you don't know what they're going to do with Woodley. I would keep Woodley another year. I would get rid of Worlds because Worlds, who is often injured as much as Woodley. Worlds doesn't have a contract, so if you franchise him, that's $10 million. You got to pay Jason Worlds. Do you have confidence he's not a $10 million a year linebacker? Also, Jarvis Jones, even though Joey Porter is back as an outside linebacker coach, quote unquote, as defensive assistant, he's not going to help a guy that runs a 4.92 40. So I would move Jarvis Jones inside. I would draft the hitman, D Ford, to be your outside linebacker. And that's what's on my mind. But finally, if you guys want to talk about it later on in the show, everybody's talking about the Mount Rushmore of who should be on the Mount Rushmore of football. And if we talk about it later, I'll give you my Mount Rushmore. And that's what's on my mind.
Well,
Was that football or basketball?
Well, they were talking football, but they're talking basketball. We can talk football.
Okay, we got 5 things from Smoking
Or
Jim.
hockey.
We got 6 now. It's a new record. Anything else you want to mention?
The Tigers in the house.
And with that, thanks, Smoking Jim. I appreciate 7 subjects. That's a new Smoking Jim world record on Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Everybody wants it.
It's going to change my what's on my mind, obviously.
Well, before we get too deep into this, anybody that wants to go up to 7 subjects, go ahead. Make it 8.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I only have 1 this week.
Yay!
You know, we're not going on. All right. Zach Brenner, how many things could be on your mind?
Well, they always change. Anytime I go after Jim Frazier, you know, what's on my mind can drastically change instantly. One, the first thing that's on my mind is the Gateway Gators will now be led by a Clareton Bear and Coach Nola. So you can say whatever you want, you know, Now they're not in quad A anymore, Chip. They're going to be in triple, and they're going to be running into the likes of Still Valley coach TJ and Coach Bill Turpak. So I look forward to seeing plenty of Gateway now that they're moving down to AAA, and plenty of losses accumulating. That's one thing that's on my mind. The second thing that's on my mind is that linebacker, is he straight? No, why does it have to be a joke? I was just asking if he was straight, you know? Wise guy.
I'm trying to let you guys
The third thing that's on my mind tonight, folks, is I've heard numbers for Jason Worlds floating anywhere between 5 and 8 million. So I would just try to sign him straight up, legitimately, and forget the franchise. Straight, see, if that's how you apply it, straight up, legitimately. I would like to see them not franchise tag Jason Worlds and get rid of Woodley, who's had a bad hamstring since he came to this world. That's 4 things that are on my mind. The 5th thing that's on my mind
lost track.
is the Daytona 500. I'm honored to be representing Pittsburgh Sportsline down at the Great American Race. I'll be leaving tomorrow night. I look forward to it. I'll be giving daily reports and updates live from Daytona all week long. So go to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook and check it out. And that's what's on my mind, folks. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks, Little Z.
Monday?
Not Monday. I'll still
He's
be.
going to have a long weekend there. Daytona Beach.
He's going to spend his time shoveling sunshine.
That was a nice little
Looking
blast
forward
of
to
snow
it.
we had to give him a little workout.
Visit Bethune-Cookman when you're down in all black cows.
I'm going to scout some talent.
How
out
many
there.
more subjects, you two? All right, and that's the class that's out of order over there. So we're going to continue with what's on our mind. We'll pause for a couple chuckles.
That's pause for station identification on BPTV.
Call 412-831-3304 if you want to get in on the nonsense.
Don't be shy.
Chip the Prophet Hainer, what's this one subject that's on your mind? It's intriguing to me.
But this time of year, one thing that's always on my mind is baseball.
Never. Oh, okay.
It's baseball.
I thought you were going to talk something else.
No. It's I don't want to be censored. I enjoy my position here on as a host of the show. I don't need to have that, pixelated or them to hit the mute button.
Pixelated. I like that. What's
Yeah, but what's on my mind is baseball, and obviously today was the first full day of practice at spring training for the Pirates, and Clint Hurdle and the boys closed the book on 2013. They're starting the first page of the chapter of their story for 2014. And, we're 8 days away from the very first spring training game. And yesterday we were exactly 6 weeks away from the home opener, March 31st, and I'll be there. But what's on my mind, and I was, and I'm ashamed of myself for letting this go unmentioned last week on our show, but the passing of, a Pirate Hall of Famer a week ago Saturday, the great Ralph Kiner passed away. And,
We didn't miss that on Facebook. It was all over.
I didn't mention it on the air,
Okay.
and me
All
being
right.
the baseball guy, I'm kind of ashamed that I didn't bring this to light last week. But I did want to talk a minute about Ralph Kiner. And Ralph Kiner was probably one of the greatest Pirate power hitters that ever played.
Oh, yeah.
The only Pirate that hit more home runs than him was the
Willie.
great Willie Stargell. And he's immortalized in bronze down at PNC Park, and he's in Cooperstown. But some of the amazing things that Ralph Kiner did. Ralph Kiner played for the Pirates for the first 7 years of his career. And for the first 7 years of his career, he led the league in home runs each and every year. In the 7 years that he was a Pittsburgh Pirate, he hit 301 home runs. Do the math on that. That is better than anybody that did during the steroid era. And as a matter of fact,
What was he on?
he set a National League record in 1949 of 54 home runs, okay? That was the most home runs hit in the National League by any ball player until the steroid era. That's a pretty amazing feat in and of itself. He hit a home run every 14.1 at-bats. No one else in the major leagues led the league for their first 7 years. Not even Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds. So, these were pretty amazing statistics. And he played on some really lousy Pirate
worst.
teams. Of course, that was before my day. It was obviously before yours, Zach.
Long before my day.
But he was an amazing ball player. Unfortunately, his career was cut short. He only had a 10-year baseball career. In his career, he had 369 home runs. So that was pretty amazing statistic. A back injury knocked him out. His uniform number 4, has been retired by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if you go down into PNC Park, there's a bronze cast of his hands holding a bat.
Some big hands
in the park, and he was just an amazing ball player and had a great impact on the game. He was 91 years old when he passed away, and probably what most people recognize him for, not for the feats that he did when he was here in Pittsburgh. Being Pittsburghers, of course, we hold him near and dear to our heart. He started one of the first post-game talk shows called Kiner's Corner, and I can remember back when there was such a thing as, before cable TV, but there was the super stations. There was WOR out of Secaucus, New Jersey, and after the Mets games, Ralph Kiner would interview the players of the day and hold his interviews, and it was something that went on for 20, 30 years, and Ralph Kiner will be missed. He had a great impact on the game of baseball and on the city of Pittsburgh, and I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention and take a moment and reflect on his career.
I want to revisit that one.
Okay, number 9. How many more things you can get? I'm afraid to even talk.
Picture that.
Well, I'm going to talk. What's on my mind? We finally come out with a T-shirt. I wanted to tell you about that. We got a little T-shirt I whipped up here for you. You can go online to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. It's only $20. You can get it. We're doing like a crowdfunding campaign. I'm not going to take the time to explain all that, but basically you have to buy 150 shirts, not you, the individual. But when 150 shirts are sold, then they'll ship them. So then it'll be the end of it. It's a 2-week campaign. It's called 14 Days. This was the first day. We already have 4 sales on it, so we're looking for some more. Check it out. Go to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. You can see it's posted there. It's pinned at the top of the page.
I'll double that when I get home.
You get any sales, Jim? Can you get any sales, Jim? Any sales? One sale? A sale?
Well, I know his best friend said that he's buying a small and a large for her. So and
I don't see how
I want some heavy money.
I don't see how she's going to fit into a large.
She must have alternative plans for that
Jim's
shirt.
going to be showing off the midriff.
we will see.
Super high.
And on a sports note, I'm still counting the gold for the USA, and they're getting little ones here and there, and I'm predicting a gold in hockey. So I think we'll get that gold in the USA hockey team this year. It's their year. And I've enjoyed watching the game so far. And since we have so much to revisit, we have like 18 things to revisit on this. I didn't take notes. We're going to go to our second segment, which is revisit what's on all of their minds. And we'll start that right now with Smoking Jim, who's on fire tonight.
Well, one thing I want to revisit with Chip, with Ralph Kiner, is number one, like he said, a legendary icon that most of us didn't know here in Pittsburgh. And I talked it over with my dad. He's telling me how great he was, but people don't realize that his numbers would have been even greater if he didn't play at Forbes Field, which was 470 feet to center field, and they said he had some rocket home runs out of there. So
they said when he hit them, he hit them and they stayed up in the air for a while. He hit moonshots, and that was back in the day when the balls weren't juiced and the players weren't juiced.
So they say.
Well, the amphetamines were running wild. You were allowed to take that, but they didn't consider that juice. And you had a batting cage that was actually inside the ballpark, Smoking Jim.
Really?
And when they closed that field down, I was out there that last day. So
were you?
Yeah, on the field, 1972 when they shut it down.
Well, did it last that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But my dad said one year that Ralph went in to ask for a pay raise. I don't know if you guys heard the story, and I guess the Pirates came in last place. And
it's a classic.
And then the owner says, well, what place did we come in? Last. We came in last without you. See?
That makes your decision easier. There's no loyalty here.
An interesting story about Ralph Kiner was in 1954. He played for the Chicago Cubs, and he only hit 22 home runs that year. And at that time, he was the highest paid player in the National League. He was making $65,000 a year. So the next year he did sign a contract to go play with the Cleveland Indians, and he insisted that they cut his salary by 25% because he wasn't performing to his standard. What athlete does that?
None.
Wonder what that makes me wonder what he was on in Pittsburgh, like you said, Al.
Oh, it was Iron City.
Cast iron.
Babe Ruth was on beer and hot dogs and chasing women, so that's my hero there. He's a legend. And Babe Ruth, the reason he didn't do it 7 years, his first 7 years, he was one of the best pitchers, one of the best lefties at the time.
That's a good point.
So, and they only let him bat every few days.
Right, and Ralph Kiner, you know, the home run hitters, they drive the Cadillacs, you know, and they get to date the movie stars. He dated Liz Taylor and Janet
Did he?
Leigh. Yes.
And who
did.
else?
Janet Leigh. She was
Never heard of her.
yeah, she was
She's a big star.
back in those days. But that
Okay.
was a
Back
little
in the
bit
day.
Before your time.
I
Jim.
gotta Google that. But I tell you what, I felt like I got to hit a home run after that milkshake last night.
You didn't even sip that. We'll bring that up at Sip Sports Bar.
Come on, man. You got 9 things on what's on your mind.
He just threw
Jumping
11
of
out.
order.
There's 2 more.
You barely made the cut before the camera came
Hey,
on.
did you notice how he can put his own mic on when it's under
I'm not
pressure?
sure if I
Under
got it all
pressure.
right. Do I got it all right?
Probably
They
upside
probably can't
down.
hear him.
Aaron, we're getting feedback in the mic here.
You can't hear him.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
But you know what the problem is? We don't need a microphone.
They just changed to Zach because Tiger fell asleep a while ago because it's all about Smoking Jim tonight, and you're his hero.
Yay!
All he can do is keep that camera on you. Z, did you have anything to question
Yeah,
here?
I'm going to revisit my spot on the Daytona 500. They just recently brought back the number 3 car that Dale Earnhardt Sr. drove before,
Why'd they do that?
before he died. Well, because Richard Childress owns the car and owns the number. And he felt that it was time. His grandson is moving up through the ranks, and he gave the car and the number to Austin Dillon, who went on to win the pole. So, you know, barring a mishap or an engine blowing up, the number 3 is going to start on the front row when I get to Daytona for the 500. So I'm pretty excited about that. Just as excited as I am for Coach Nola as the head coach of Gateway.
Still.
Yeah, Coach Nolan gets out of that dump of Clareton finally
Hey,
as
we-
an old man.
We all moved up like the Jeffersons.
You know what? It's nice to see you two agreeing on something here.
Yeah, he moved up to the big house on the hill.
So that means, yeah, that means my main man now is a Gateway fan. But let me ask you this about Daytona 500. In honor of Black
Just go.
History, in honor of Black
Has a black
History Month,
man ever won the race? Is
in
that your
honor of
question?
Black History Month, we get some brothers down there at Daytona 500.
Well, I'll give you a little useless fact. The first ever African American to win a NASCAR race, his name was Wendell Young out of the South. And he was the only African American to ever win a NASCAR race. And that's our little Z's spot on our Black
What year did
History
he
Month.
do that?
I couldn't tell you the exact year. I'm pretty sure
Hey,
it was,
props
you know,
for Zach for the trivia.
No, I like it.
1970s before. I'll
That's
Google
it,
that.
that's it,
I'll
man.
Google
I like
that.
that because Richard Petty and those guys in Cale Yarborough, they didn't let too many guys win.
Yeah, it was tough. It was
It
tough
didn't
for
matter
Wendell.
what color you were.
It was tough for Wendell. He's
And
still
I
alive.
like what Richard Petty said about Danica Patrick. He said, yeah, there's a chance she may win a race someday if everybody else doesn't show up.
Wow, did he say that?
Yeah, and you know what worries me about the Pirates when they're down in Bradenton? They
Whoa.
play in the Grapefruit League. And there's just something about the name of that league that just always bothered me, the Grapefruit League.
Well, other teams win that grapefruit league, so I don't understand what your
What do
point
you
is.
get?
So
You get a grapefruit. That's a no-brainer.
You could go out west and play in the Cactus League. Is that any
How
better or
many
worse?
times in the 20 years did the Pirates win the Grapefruit League?
Does
There
it
he
even
is out of
matter?
order again, out of order of the show.
Yeah, I know. How did that even get into this?
Well, Chip brought up spring training. I was just
Okay,
talking
well, we
about
had
the
to
Grapefruit
designate
League.
the one thing. No, the 3 things that he brought up, you picked
No,
one
they
out.
were all baseball related.
I can't.
They
If
were all
folks at
one
home, if
thing,
you noticed,
baseball.
I was not around for
That's not
for
true.
Ralph Connor. That was way before my time. So
Yeah.
I can't speak on that, and I'm not going to speak on that. So I can only speak on the Grapefruit
That's
League.
why I'm here to enlighten you, Zach.
Thank you, sir.
And I like your point on the grapefruit league on what do you win? Who cares? It's spring
You
training.
win
Yeah.
grapes or fruits?
I just always thought it was interesting
Well,
that they
here's
named
the question I have for you, since you follow baseball a lot more now. Does it matter if you win the Grapefruit League Championship or the Cactus League Championship or any spring training championship? Does that really even matter?
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it equates over to anything.
Well, Zach's only been following baseball the last couple of years when they renamed the bridge the Homestead Graves Bridge.
Is that what happened? We has their ball field right
I'm
where
an
he grew up.
honorary Gray. I'll have you
understand why
folks
they
know.
didn't name it the Pittsburgh Crawford.
I'm an honorary Gray. Smoking Jim Frazier has been very reluctant to name me an honorary brother, but I will continue to campaign strong. Folks, I will continue to campaign strong.
Hey, Zach, you
Homewood.
can't catch me. I'm already in.
I know.
He put me in. I
Look
don't
where
know
you
what
were
happened.
born.
105 Pride Street. Could I
Where's
say?
that at?
I'm getting so old, I forgot. Hold it, wait. I had that super healthy drink. That's under Mercy
Super
Hospital.
healthy drink.
Oh, that was the.
That was the most disgusting
That's
drink.
Sip Sports Bar. We're going. That's it for revisitation. Thanks for segueing, Zeke. It's Sip Sports Bar last night. We had a great cast of characters, a lot of good people. You know, even the MMA guys. And for anybody that doesn't realize, we're big into this MMA. The last month has been MMA month for
Oh,
us.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's because of Hank Hanasick. Not that he brought it up to me once, and not that I said it a couple other times, but thanks to Hank, he did help promote this. We had two of his guys, Brawlin' Donnie Bard and
Jason the Whip.
Jason the
Jason
Whip.
the Whip.
A Brenner Contracting sponsored fighter.
And that's my younger son. I didn't know I had. No offense, Smoking Jim and Z, since you're on that team over there. He's my brother from another mother. And
Yes, sir.
Little Z's that son I didn't know since I met him on the show here. Well, anyhow, Jason was drinking some kale type of drink with a mixture of. Smoking Jim found out what flax was. He didn't know that. Yet he said he knew that. And then he found about straw and other stuff that was in this drink.
Listen, be arbitrary. Like, that was the most disgusting, vile thing that I ever stuck in my mouth in 29 years. It was disgusting.
Did you choke it down? Because it was delicious.
It was not delicious, sir. And
I'm energized because of
And
it.
I told Jason this last night. I said what that drink needed was a little ice, of course, because it was a little on the warm side, but it needed a lot of chocolate. But that's just me.
well, when you're trying to cut weight, I don't think that chocolate.
Well, the flax helped him cut weight. The other stuff's for energy for his body and his metabolism and everything else. That's what you need
But I
to do.
drank it. I didn't pretend to.
He did. And I ended
drank
up,
it also.
I finished Smoking Jim's because it never made it past the bottom of his cup. And it was delicious. Matter of fact, we had a holistic health coach.
I don't know how anybody ever tilted a cup up like that and got that stuff to stay at the bottom of it. And I got that. The guy's a magician, I got to tell you.
And that's what happens, man. That's what they teach you at Cal U.
I sat right next
No,
to
he didn't learn that at Cal U because you have to show up at Cal U to learn that stuff. I got
They gave
reports
him
on
a
him.
4-year degree, so he showed up for something.
Hold it. They gave
For
4-year
graduation.
degrees at one of your favorite schools, Pitt, for a lot of athletes that won championships, and somehow they missed school. How do I know? I grew up in that era, and they were out. I didn't go to school. I was working. They weren't in school.
That's true.
So, some of these myths, youngster, we're going to have to tell you about it. They're just myths. And that makes for some fiction. In fact, we'll get into that later. But anyhow, Sip Sports Bar, it's Monday nights, Pittsburgh Sports Line. Just a great cast of characters. We talked Pittsburgh Power football with Sean Moon. We had Bethany Montecalvo. She's not just a makeup artist. We found out in health, she agrees with a lot of that drink, how great that was. And somehow she got inducted to the Smoking Jim's Sip Sports Bar, Pittsburgh Sports Line Hall of Fame last night.
And I'm starting to question the legitimacy of this Hall of Fame. And I might be.
Well, his criteria is unknown to anybody that's living.
Correct.
And
There's
somehow,
no father to his style.
His criteria is on a need-to-know basis, Zach, and unfortunately, you don't need to know.
and there's only one person that needs to know. It's Smoking Jim. And he even announced when we're going to have a Hall of Fame party. I don't think he knows, but it's on a Monday night. The date you gave is a Monday night.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
Okay.
I'm waiting for the bronze busts to line the walls at Sips.
Well, it's a family show. We're not going to talk about all these busts here that he's inducting here.
Mine is going to be like this. No juice, folks. No juice.
You're in
All
it.
natural.
Isn't
All
Zach in
natural.
the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I'm in the Hall of Fame.
I didn't make it yet. I don't think I'm even in it.
You know what, Al? Don't feel bad. I'm on the outside looking in too.
I don't feel bad.
Hey, you're in the All Brother Hall of Fame, though.
I just got to keep working at it, keep chopping wood.
But anyhow, getting back to Sip Sports Bar, on Sundays, we got a meet there. Not you this week, Zach. They got Sip's Sunday Seafood Specials. Now, you guys say that out there.
3 times fast.
Sunday Sip Seafood Specials. Sunday Sip
Sip
Seafood
Sunday
Specials.
Seafood
All right.
Special. Sip
Yeah.
Sunday Seafood Special.
$3 from everything from calamari to shrimp. You name it, they have
Fried
it.
clams.
Fried clams there. You got to come out, Smoking Jim. We'll
can't
have to
wait.
come out to eat
I'll
that
be
day.
there with my best friend this Sunday.
Again,
You eat seafood, Smoking Jim?
he does now. The price is right.
Zach, take a look at him. If he sees food, he eats it.
That's an old one.
I love him a home run. Chucked him a home run in the batting cage.
He served it up. I
Yeah,
thought
he
it.
did. And
I
Forbes
thought it.
Field long, too. And I wasn't around for Forbes Field either, folks.
I
Sorry.
saw it. I saw
That
it.
was a 3-room
And then
stadium.
Campides night, 50 cents a slice. Wednesday night is whatever Smoking Jim wants to call it. They got specials. It's ladies' night supposedly. Thursday night, 25-cent wings. Come on out there. The wings are great. All kind of different varieties. Ask for the Smoking Jim wings, just so you know. Get that special there. And have some loaded fries on the side with Gabrielle.
And then go run a few laps.
And Friday night, they have entertainment. Same with Saturday night. They have drink specials all the time, special meals. And then if you ever want the Smoking Jim best meatball hoagie I ever had 2 weeks ago, give them a call. And that's it on the Sip Sports Bar Report. Just see you next Monday. Another cast of great guests.
Watch that show on YouTube from last night. You'll get to see my little sister kick it off in epic fashion.
I wanted to
So,
mention,
hi,
A
Corinne.
winner.
since
Sister
you guys
winner.
threw me off my game, that was one of the first. She was our first guest.
Oh, that's her in there hallway fighting.
There was a big crowd here in the municipal
Fighting for her
building.
right.
Somebody's trying to get out of paying her for Girl Scout cookies.
Hey, Devin Shea. She's coming.
Well, Corinne was great. It was nice to have her on. And we brought up Little Z. So it was a sister-brother act for the first
She
time.
was so good, wasn't she?
That was a BPTV first.
Hey, she was so pumped when the news of that broke that she was going to do that, man. I didn't hear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There, I got another fan.
You got a big fan.
That
Lou.
is- and
She's
she's
big
well
fan.
worth it.
Yeah,
It was great.
she's
And
really
meeting the rest of the
sweet
family
young
was
lady.
very nice.
Sweet
So,
young lady.
and thanks for them for showing up too. And they do have to practice their applause a little bit for Zach Brenner because they were a little lacking when he come up. It was
Yeah,
very
I know.
disappointing from the
Chief was
neighborhood.
more excited. Hey, Chief.
Hold it, Chief's having his dessert right now. Don't interrupt that.
right.
Thanks, Chief.
Don't you
Appreciate the
touch that
support.
dial, Chief.
All right, now we got to go to one of my favorites, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine. And how many sisters you got? Little Z, you got a lot of sisters there, cousins. But my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac. And I'll tell you what,
What?
We touched on it briefly, but we got to talk about it.
What?
The Sip Sports Bar Hall of Fame banquet, July 14th,
2002.
Cut this live TV start over again.
But congratulations again to Bethany.
What was that date?
Monte Calvo.
Monte Calvo. And if you guys follow high school football at all,
Once in a
her
while.
relative was the head football coach, Coach Monte Calvo for Wash High, coached Brian Davis and some of the great guys down there, Aaron Gatton. Also went to Cannonsburg. Didn't win championships like he did at Washington, but kind of turned that program around in Cannonsburg. So that's a legend we got to get on the show. That's a relative of Bethany.
They play football in Canonsburg?
Only the second female to ever get inducted so far. And it's still early, like I said, so far.
What is your
But-
list?
But the
Do you
list,
have the list? 'Cause
we got 10 people on the list, and I'm going
You said 8 last night.
well, you know what? When I did my
Count you
research,
out.
when I did my research, 10 comes after 8.
I don't
so
know what happened to the show.
There's more,
They're in the same
but
neighborhood.
and this is not in any particular order.
Please don't put it in order.
Number 1, Zach Brenner. number 2, Frank Merger. Number 3, Alicia Sparks, the Midwest Princess. Number 4, the Kamikaze Kid.
Chadbourne.
And when you get a couple of people in from the same high school, the second person only gets one name, Matt. Number 6 is Jim O'Brien. Number 7, Jimmy Savetic, Mad Dog.
Wow.
Number 8, and a favorite, and you'll be doing his bio, is Bill Boyce. Number 9, Trapper Tom. And number 10, last but not least, Bethany Montecalvo. And you can't dispute that list so far. Like I said, we still have some
Can we get an honorable mention for Andy Sebastian?
He's moving up on the board. If he shows up one more time.
But that's my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Man, that was my favorite. That was my favorite. Way to send me off in style.
Number 1. I'm just going to change your name.
Young man, I just want to coach you a little bit. When you take a guy's seat and he doesn't want you to take the seat, you get the greatest compliment in the world, buddy, because he'll be back in that seat.
I bet he will, man. It's a very comfortable seat. It's a nice black chair.
What kind of chair?
And Bethany may be in this seat next week.
Talking health. We'll be talking health. Well, thanks, Smokey
Well,
Jim.
I hate to
appreciate
break it to you, dear, but I'll be back Monday night, so I'll be in that very chair right there on Tuesday night. So
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
hate to
right.
steal
That
your
is
thunder,
true. That's
darling.
true. That is true.
Sorry.
I'm glad you covered that. Now, the next favorite segment that I have, if you guys are done over there.
Yes, sir.
You ready? Steady. Okay. Chips, trivia time.
All right, thank you, Alan. Thank you, gentlemen. I always like to make my trivia have something to do with what's going on in the sports world right now.
NBA.
And of course, Jim has become quite the student of Olympic hockey. And we'll be watching the Russians play the Finns tomorrow morning at 7:30. I don't think Jim's going to make it awake for the.
No, he's awake.
For the Swiss playing the Slovenian team at 3 a.m. this morning.
He's awake.
But I got some trivia here that pertains to Olympic hockey. Okay. And I'll go real quickly through this. And the first player who ever competed in the Olympics that had previously played in the NHL was a gentleman named George Garand.
Oh, yeah.
A household name. At the 1928 Olympics at St. Moritz, how many goals did Team Canada allow in their 3 games? 3 shutouts. Okay. In the 1948 Winter Games, an interesting fact happened. The silver medal winning team from Czechoslovakia had a player who went on to become a famous tennis player. He actually won Wimbledon. The guy's name was Yaroslav Drobny, another household name. Again, we're staying with the hockey theme here. The United States first won a gold medal in ice hockey in 1960. That was when the Americans beat the Russians in Squaw Valley. At the same games was one of the worst teams in Olympic history. The team that lost all 6 games they played and only scored 10 goals while giving up 88 goals was Australia. Not very good at that game, were they? Wow. At the 1964 games, David Bauer was injured at a game when he was bashed on the head with a stick. What position did David Bauer have on the team? He was the head coach. I lie not to you. In the 1976 Winter Olympics, 2 teams boycotted the Winter Games. And they boycotted the Winter Games because at that time, the Russian hockey team was, for all rights and purpose, a professional hockey team. Everybody was in the Russian army, but they didn't do anything but play hockey, and they were subsidized for it. So to protest that, Canada and Sweden, 2 of the strongest teams to ever play in Olympic hockey, boycotted the games, which enabled the USSR to continue their unbeaten streak. Well, they built a 9-game unbeaten streak. So there's twice the United States has won the Olympic gold medal. 1960 in Squaw Valley, 1980 in Lake Placid. Okay, and the person that scored the winning goal for the Miracle on Ice team. Now, you know, you think back and, you know, there's names. There's Neil Broughton played on that team, and Mark Johnson, who ended up being a first-round draft pick of the Penguins, played on that team. Mike Eruzione was one of the most famous players on that team. But the gentleman who scored the winning goal for the Miracle on Ice team for the USA in the Olympics was Rob McClanahan.
Really?
That is correct. And the first time in Olympic history the gold medal game came down to a shootout was in 1974. And the person who scored the winning goal for the shootout for Sweden that year was Peter Forsberg. And I'm sure Jim recognizes the name, being a student of
He's
the game.
recognized them all.
As he is. And, you know, now that, you know, they've progressed in Olympic sports, and now there's, you know, women's hockey in the Olympics, and there's men's hockey. And that's just a true or false question. Team Canada won the first gold medal in women's hockey. True or false?
True.
False. The Americans won the first gold medal in women's hockey.
Really?
And I believe a former Penguins coach, what was his name, Granado?
I think,
His sister was on that team. And because, you know, I know how near and dear to Jim's heart the sport of hockey is, and in observance of Black History Month,
Yay!
as a member of the gold medal winning team in the 2002 Olympics, who became the first black male to win a gold medal at the Winter Olympics?
Jerome McGinley.
There you go. Jerome McGinley
All
played
right.
here in Pittsburgh last year.
Zach saved that side of the table.
Yes, he did. So I not only did I include some Olympic trivia, I stayed true to the Black History Month. A little
Right,
shout out for my
great job,
Jim Jones.
Jim. That was
Okay?
excellent.
It's juicy over here. Juicy.
Is it? That's good. Well, thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. And that's Chip's trivia time for anybody interested. You two
I
are
wasn't
real
talking
cards.
about hair. I was talking about the gum.
I know.
Jeez.
Well, I don't know what
Get
you two
serious,
are doing
man.
over
Let's
there.
keep it straight.
All right, start talking about straight. You got Z time. I'll give you a little Z time since you feel like you don't get your point across
Do you have a
here.
number 2 pencil for Z?
No, he has a magic marker and it's not working out. He's coloring
Let
his
me tell you
fingers
this,
now.
Smokey. When
All right,
you're
Zach, what do you want to bring
when
up?
you're pre-writing, when you're in the writing mode and you're pre-writing, when you have a pencil, you can go back and you can correct things and you can erase. It has an eraser. When you just have pens, you're not able to go back and correct your mistakes, and that's why there's a lot of typographical errors in your books.
Zach, but may I correct you, my young friend?
Sure.
If you don't make mistakes, you write in ink.
And that's it for our special segment here of Nobody Knows What's on Their Minds. Okay. Now, since we did tease a little bit with Olympics, are you guys watching the Olympics at all?
Yeah, I was catching
Yeah,
some bobsled and some luge last night.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and my wife and I sat up and watched the American ice dancing team win the gold medal last night, and I'm going to tell you, it was amazing the things that they were doing on ice skates.
I just couldn't watch it, I'll tell you that much. I tried. And I had trouble. Even though they won a gold, and I posted on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, I'm proud of them.
Well, I'm looking forward to the women's.
But I couldn't
figure
watch that.
skating.
Yeah, that's a little more appealing.
Correct.
Well,
To
there
some of
was
those guys.
the ice dancing. There was a man and a woman, so I was watching half the screen.
But doesn't it?
Happy anniversary!
Let me ask you guys this though. Doesn't it seem though it's getting a little bit like redundant though, like with all these like multiple like let's see how many things we could do in the half pipe. You know, let's send a guy down with skis. Let's send him in with with a
You
bobsled.
mean with all the other events?
Yeah, like they just like intermingle so many of the events. That, like
Well,
you know.
you know,
it's
Well, when
like-
you're required to do 10 different things, how do you change that?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I think to speak to another point, you know, I mean, really most of the sports that are involved in Winter Olympics will put anybody to sleep. And what they're trying to do is,
Jazz it up.
television
Curling.
money. You know, I mean, you want to watch,
skeleton.
you watch those kind of things. But yeah, you know, I mean, let me tell you something. Curling does not bring in big ratings, okay?
I watched that for a
Oh,
minute or
I
two.
was hanging on it last Saturday night. I was watching the women. It was awesome. Oh,
What's
it's
that
Hey.
thing they do with a guy slides?
That's curling.
That's curling.
That's curling.
Smoking
He's,
Jim.
I mean, he's in the
You
ballpark.
should watch the ladies do that.
I'm impressed
Really?
because
The ladies are nice on
Dude,
you.
the focus.
Definitely.
I didn't know they had
and then
that.
they got the sweepers out in front of them, man.
They're sweeping like crazy.
I'm
Oh,
impressed
I like
this
to
week.
do
The
that.
Smoking Jim is in the game. He's focused. He's paying attention.
I was
Where?
at Burger King and they had that on. That's what they doing.
Did you go to the fake Burger King down in the south side?
No.
He's been going to that one.
You wonder why.
They got the worst fries and the worst burgers, and that Whopper's not a Whopper.
Of course not. It's kangaroo meat.
It's a junior Whopper.
Down under.
Doesn't even qualify. Anything else on the Olympics? Smoking Jim, have you watched any Olympics?
I'm trying to
Be
order,
honest now.
trying to order a T-shirt right now.
All right, well, here's what you do. Just go to that link, and when it says buy it now, click on that.
But
You get
but
the,
he's-
hold it, you'll get the T-shirt that's named after you.
You're not helping my
What?
friend here though, because
Okay.
he doesn't understand what PayPal is. He has heavy money, but he might not have a credit card, a major credit card, or a debit card. He might not even have a bank account if the IRS is watching.
He does have one of those.
You can
I
find
don't-
him in God's country. Wink, wink. That's Monroeville, guys.
That's all right.
He does have one of those.
Smoking Jim's got his bank, Macaroni Tony.
You don't have to worry, and somebody else can do it. Wait, I think he just bought 10 T-shirts because he got excited by that.
Oh, yeah.
And they have up to 3X.
He couldn't do the math, so yeah, he might have ended up with 10 T-shirts. He really
And
wanted
if you want the green, see the Levine T-shirt there. Forest Green for Smoking Jim.
For St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, you can get them in by
I know
March 4th.
I know Wonder Woman wanted that green too.
Well, you have to buy them. That's how that works. They're not made
I
yet.
want a lot of things. We call free the F word at Brenner Contracting.
They do. And now let's talk some Penguins. All the Penguins are in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they are.
How about that? All the Penguins are actually in the running for medals. So to me, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also tomorrow at noon, the United States will be playing the Czech Republic. And one of Jim's favorite hockey players will be playing against the United States, Jaromir Jagr.
And now it's single elimination,
Yeah.
correct?
Single
It's one and
They're
done.
one and done now. So
Yep.
So we get to watch
the
Jagr
rubber's
get
going to
his
hit the ice.
butt booted off to the side, and he's going to get steamrolled by the American team. But
Another thing, America for gold. USA is going to win their third gold medal.
yeah,
in
you know,
hockey
I
this
tell you
year.
what, the United
I'm
States
coming out early.
The United States team looks strong. You know, the Russian
it
team
straight.
seems very disjointed.
Spin
They've got
straight.
so much high-powered talent on that team. They don't mesh well. And
Right.
the Canadian team does not seem to be playing
don't
up
look
to it.
right.
They look confused. They can't decide who should play wing for Crosby.
Well, wait, who's the coach there?
Babcock.
Okay, that explains it. Crosby played 10 minutes the other game in the first two periods. You got the so-called best player in hockey, not just because he's from Pittsburgh.
In the world.
In Canada, they worship him. And he played 10 minutes in the first two periods. Smoking Jim, that's like you riding the pine for half a game.
I'll tell you the team that really has got me, I think he's kind of a dark horse in this tournament. And I do like the Americans to win the gold, just don't want to get that out there. The Finnish team, a team from Finland, Olli Mata, Jussi Jokinen are playing for that team.
Right.
But let's not forget the person that's on man in the nets for them is the person that completely shut down the Penguins last year in the playoffs, Tuukka Rask. And you know what? In a tournament like this, a hot goaltender can be all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Ask the Americans the last Winter Olympics. It was Ryan Miller, who's now the backup to Jonathan Quick right now.
And
He
he
really
played it.
didn't do anything wrong.
No, he didn't. And you know, and I gotta tell you what, either of them are
He
equally
played a good
capable.
game the last game.
But you know, I mean, I don't think that picking Jonathan Quick, you're going wrong with that. I mean, the guy has won a Stanley Cup. You know, 2 years ago, the guy's got the skills, and Ryan Miller. He's as good a goaltender as you could get as a backup. But I think the running with Quick is going to be.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about the goalies can play the puck anywhere and the wider surface out there? I'm not a big fan of that extra 15 feet.
I'll tell you what, I really
don't like
I
it.
really like the amount of ice that they have to play with.
Do you?
Because you see a much more skilled game than you see in the NHL on a regular basis. In the
I
NHL, you
was
can
thinking
make
the
up
same
for your
thing.
lack of skill by physicality.
You're smoking
We were
Jim.
just talking
He
about
said-
that.
We just try to keep it.
Before we came on the air.
You know
Keep it
what?
copacetic
Can
and
somebody
get these
open the
gateway
door?
guys.
Can somebody open the door? Because I'm choking on all this stuff that's in here, and it's not that drink. That drink was delicious compared to what happened here just now.
I dispute that. That drink was awful.
But anyhow, I don't like that large amount of ice for the simple fact the skilled players, they can move around just as great on the regular NHL rink. I love it on there. If they called the rules like they should, then the skilled players would still have the skills instead of being thugs.
Here's the question that I got to ask, for people that watch a lot of hockey, and I guess we're going to have to exclude Jim from this conversation, but do you even miss the fact that there isn't any fighting in any of these games? Doesn't even dawn on you that it's not happening.
No, I don't care
because
about
you're
fighting.
enjoying the quality of the play.
Until you start getting out physical, the physicality starts increasing, and then
Well,
But they
frustration starts to
I've seen
rise.
some fights almost a day in one of the games I was watching.
That's right. But if they do fight, they get ejected. They're
Yeah.
gone.
What
They-
game
they-
were you
they-
watching?
I forget the T they had red on. I said, "Oh, maybe some
Russia.
fight." No,
Was that Burger King
that-
again?
That was the Russian team.
Was that the Russian team?
Russia had to play to get into the final
We can
round.
narrow. You know how we can narrow down what Burger King Jim Frazier was at?
Monroeville.
Well, aside from that, what they were giving
Verona.
away, if they were giving away something like free Wi-Fi or a free hash brown or free coffee.
Or how about he keeps going in there and calling the lady sweetie, and she goes, another burger, another burger. And then he's getting change out, and she goes, don't worry about it, honey. That's what's going on there. Well, I guess we were at the Olympics there. What about Pitt, their basketball team?
Yeah,
Sweet 16.
It's so disappointing to me. It looks like they're going to be out of the
that's going to be
tournament.
what they're going to be, a 16 seed when they make it into the tournament.
They could play their way out of it the way they're looking here.
That's
Really?
exactly what they're
I don't
doing.
know if you've
Usually
seen
in February and early March is when your team is supposed to be starting to peak, getting ready for tournament time, and it seems like the Pitt team is just tanked. They can't score in the field during a game. They get second chances by getting offensive rebounds, and they'll get 3 tries and they won't put the ball down.
And they're missing the basket. Smoke and Jim, they're actually like 3 feet away and 4 feet away from the basket.
Yeah,
That's pretty close.
I think
And when you're 2 feet above the rim, that's not bad.
Money.
I mean, you look at what happened when Pitt played Duke a couple of weeks
I
ago.
watched it.
And Pitt played very well, but Pitt was ranked like 1 spot or 2 spots higher than Duke, or Duke was ranked a couple. But now you look at where Duke is. Duke's ranked number 5 in the nation, and Pitt's out of the top 25.
And
So
that's-
you got 2
And
teams
Duke also has
going
a
in different
McDonald's
directions.
All-American in Jabari Parker, and Pitt doesn't. So I mean, sometimes
Well, Pitt's problem is they don't have that playmaker that
And
can get
I
inside.
think Mike Krzyzewski has a little bit to do with that. I mean, Coach K he's one of the best of all time.
Well, Jim can sound off on Jamie Dixon, who's the better coach, is the Dixon family. He'll tell you.
No, unfortunately,
Yeah,
she
the
passed.
sister was a good.
sister was a great
Unfortunately, she passed.
Did he use
R.I.P. to Jamie Dixon's sister. R.I.P. to Derek Thomas. R.I.P. to
Ralph
Ralph
Kiner.
Ralph Connor, and
Anybody else?
Dale Earnhardt.
Or according to Al Levine, the talking machine, R.I.B. to Dan Marino and Sterling and Shannon
No,
Sharp.
they got sacked.
Yeah, and I'm just telling
Didn't you miss it? I want to breaking
Hold
news.
on.
That was the biggest hit I had. Over 2,300 people saw the post that I caught this on the news in between a couple things that Shannon Sharp and Dan Marino got sacked. They're off of CBS on Sunday.
shocked.
And guess who's in there?
Tony
Tony Gonzalez. I didn't even put that out
Well, we
there.
need one more.
Well, they're working on that.
They're working on that. They
I broke it early
They
today.
mentioned.
Dan
Who
Marino
did they
is-
mention?
I like
I
when we
heard
get a
somebody
woman in.
mention.
No woman. They're talking men.
What do you think the rationale is? Like the reasoning is? Is it
Well,
money? Is it
you know
physical?
what? Because
Well, Shannon
people
Sharp
are
was
still
having-
trying to understand anything Shannon Sharp said.
Well, what about Dan Marino? I mean, I know he got hit in the head a lot.
Well,
but
you know what? Here's what the scuttlebutt was that I read on the internet was that there was talks about
he had an affair with a
Marino
worker or something.
losing his job after the 2012 season. I guess they weren't exactly thrilled. They want to interject some new blood, some enthusiasm.
Well, Marino almost took John Elway type position with Miami about five or 6 years
Right.
ago. I mean, he
was
accepted
close.
position and then he resigned to stay with CBS. I thought he did, although I don't watch that show because I watch Bradshaw and them.
Everybody
But,
watches Bradshaw. It's
yeah,
worth
yeah,
it.
That's
You know,
not
as much
true.
as I-
I
as
watch
much as I
CBS
like-
to see the coach.
as
You
much-
don't watch CBS to see the coach?
Well, as much as I like
He talks to
Bill
him
Cowher,
regularly.
and as much as I love Bill Cowher, I always thought he struggled on that show.
Well,
Oh, man, he's
mark
picked it
my
up
words.
every year.
Shannon Sharp will be inked to a contract with the NFL Network.
He'll
with
be
his
on
brother
Fox
Sterling,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
by the time the sun comes up
Fox
tomorrow.
loves brothers.
You know. No, I guarantee you, if they hire Michael Irvin, okay, they'll hire anybody.
What's your real opinion on that, Jay?
This is true.
That's enough.
What
That's
my
enough.
real opinion, I can't
Michael
say on
Irvin
the
was
air.
a great wide receiver, though, to his credit, though, in his day. I was at least around for that, folks. I can attest to that.
He just had other issues, that's all.
Hey,
And I'm one of the few people that ever seen Shannon Sharp play in college. He was a wide receiver.
And what black college was that?
Morehead State.
Caught 25 touchdown passes his senior year at Savannah State, right on the borderline,
Savannah State.
See?
right on the borderline of Savannah, Georgia, and Ridgely, South Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you see Smoking
And if
Jim
you
travel
gave
in
him
those areas,
if you gave him a map right now and asked him to point at it, he would not be able to find
But
it.
I could point at the majorettes and the cheerleaders at the all black schools. They,
Well, you know,
they,
I mean,
they
Jay-
down
you know,
there, brother.
I mean,
they
they
can
gave
shake
Shannon,
it.
they gave Shannon Sharp enough rope, and he just, his mouth hung himself. I really was not very impressed with him when he blasted Marino on the air the one day when he said that
Really?
the measure of
Super
a
Bowls.
Hall of Fame quarterback is how many Super Bowls they won, and Dan Marino's sitting there right next to him. It's like, hello.
Well, you're Dan Marino. You didn't win any Super Bowls. Sorry about your luck. What does Dan Marino do when he's in the room with Joe Montana and all the great ones, the Terry Bradshaws? You didn't get it done.
But Marino had to go down as one of the best. If I had a quarterback to take, I would take Danny. I'd take
yeah.
Danny.
especially
Over
before he
Joe
had that
Montana.
leg- before he had that leg
No
injury.
way.
Remember he
No,
had that
I
leg
wouldn't,
injury?
Yeah,
where-
the Achilles.
Yeah.
You
No
remember
way.
when he was
Ringo.
drafted, because there was all the allegations about his extracurricular activity at
And they
Pitt.
were true.
And Chuck Noll passed on taking him. And I said at that time that if Chuck Noll would have drafted Dan Marino, he'd have never made the Hall of Fame because Chuck Noll would have made him hand the ball off 30 times a
Yeah.
game. And what Don Shula did, much to Don Shula's credit,
Yeah.
was he completely structured his offense around Marino's ability to
That's
throw.
Reinvented itself because Don Shula used to run the football more than Chuck
3
Noll.
yards and a
Exactly.
cloud
That
of
was a
dust.
Out of
shocker.
Baltimore and-
It was a
yeah.
shocker.
Well, when he had Tom Maddie back in the 60s when he was running the
Yeah, with
Baltimore
that.
Colts.
And don't forget the
Zonk and
Zonk
kick.
and Mercury Morris.
Yeah, three-headed monster there.
Now they're going back, folks. They do this to me, but it's okay.
You know what? There's books they have. You just pick up a book, give up a half hour of sleep because you're a smart guy, and you'll get it done.
It's all right, Jack. We're here to
I need
enlighten
that
you.
half hour.
For what?
We're here
for
to enlighten
sleep.
you,
To
Zach.
rest my bones.
But hey, as we got a few more minutes to go, let's go to my Mount Rushmore. Anybody got their Mount Rushmore football? Maybe you
think
all agree with my Mount Rushmore.
I'll go out. I'll go on this one because
Let me
LeBron
go with mine
James
first.
opened
Why
his
don't you
mouth.
even explain why
I'll
we're
go-
talking Mount
I'll go
Rushmore?
with mine first.
Because that's
I'm
about
sure-
presidents.
I'm sure you guys will all agree with mine. So, Chip, before you go, it'll probably be
I
exactly
wanna-
the
I
same.
wanna-
We got
follow
6 minutes. Let's see if the great debate can be done in less than 6 minutes.
All right.
5, I prefer.
All right, my Mount Rushmore
Who?
would have to be Mean Joe Green, Jim Brown, Brett Favre, and Ray Lewis.
Brother Ray.
I'm sure we all agree.
Wow.
You
Maybe
know
that's
what?
going to be the next one on CBS.
No, and the
You already got a job
The
for
reason we're
ESPN.
talking about this right now is that LeBron James opened up his mouth and talked about what his Mount Rushmore would be for NBA greats, and and of course he put Michael Jordan, which I would agree belongs on a Mount Rushmore of basketball greats, but he put Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and then he put the great Oscar Robinson, and then he said, "Well, I'll replace one of them." Which is, they should get microphones away from this man, okay? But, as basketball goes, my Mount Rushmore for basketball would be Bill Russell, won 11 championships. Wilt Chamberlain, how could you keep him out? Oscar Robertson, because he's the only man to ever average a triple-double for an entire season.
You're right, good
And
point.
Michael Jordan. I'd say Jordan would, belongs up there. But for
can't argue with
football,
that.
it's so hard to really pick. Of all times, because you think of the great players
didn't
that
have a hard
played the
time.
game. Think about the different eras. You look back at Dick Butkus. You look back at Bubba Smith. You look back at Deacon Jones. There's a lot of great players. You had Bart Starr. You Terry Bradshaw. You had Joe Montana winning 4 championships in the 80s.
He's on mine.
There's a lot of them. Who could forget Walter Payton?
He's on mine too. Peyton, Lombardi,
And
Montana,
then, even though he
Bradshaw,
had a
so
short
good.
career, what about Gale Sayers?
Love him. Love him.
I mean, there's just so many. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick.
I didn't have a hard time.
Yeah, I knew you
Well,
wouldn't.
to me, it's all ridiculous to talk about Mount Rushmore. It's a presidential thing. It shows you're uneducated. Because there's no way you're going to call Mount Rushmore, not you guys being uneducated. They put it out. No, you guys are some of the most intelligent guys that I'm in the room
Now
with.
listen to this though.
Trust me, Al, you can't
In any
offend
of
me.
these guys, in any of your Mount Rushmores though, did I hear any coaches? Because
No,
in my
no,
Mount
no.
Rushmore in
No
football, Vince Lombardi
No coaches.
has
on
to
this
be.
Well, you'd
Yeah.
have to
be
have
in
one for
Mount
coaches
Rushmore.
and one for players.
George
Mount
Hallis,
Rushmore.
Paul
in
Brown.
Yeah,
because
George-
in the basketball, Phil Jackson, would have to be on Mount Rushmore. But I mean, I'll go Pistol Pete Maravich, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe. You have to give credit to some of these younger guys that are coming along. Kobe Bryant
well,
is.
you
Here's
know,
what I say. Pick your all basketball team. Pick your all football team. And then that's what you go
Pick
with. The
your
Mount
all-
Rushmore,
Pick your
they're not going to
pick-
be carving
pick your
anything
coaches.
out of any building or mountain for players. Okay? It's not happening,
I don't
fellas.
know. They
I
make
mean,
enough
Bill
money,
Russell-
they may buy their own mountain.
Bill Russell.
They can do it, but it won't
I
won't
see
be
LeBron
worth
up
it.
there with the jackhammer.
Bill Russell won enough championships that he's definitely firmly cemented.
College.
Yeah, but
Basketball,
think about what
college,
Wilt
and pro.
Chamberlain did. Wilt Chamberlain averaged
Yep,
50
Wilt is
points
still-
a game for an entire season.
He did a lot of other things too.
You know,
Wilt Chamberlain.
yeah,
In basketball?
No, General.
yeah, but it's
General
funny
Studies.
that he had the nickname Wilt.
Keep it straight, folks. That's tonight's memo.
10,000, Chip. That's all.
yeah.
Go by 10,000.
Yep.
That's work.
That'll cause you to get a nickname like that.
That's work.
Well, I think we covered Mount Rushmore, which I didn't prefer, and I still don't. I'm against Mount Rushmore with somebody even insinuating that, because it doesn't make any sense.
How doesn't it make any sense, Al Levine? Because they did a Mount Rushmore with the presidents, and I'm sure that it could be argued that it's time.
Because that's what
we
they
can't
want.
go
How
back
about
out
the first
to.
black president?
We
Bill
can't go.
Clinton?
Yeah, we can't go back out to Montana and and chip away and make some changes. Based on a light of history.
You're talking about gangs.
Chip away.
I'm just saying,
These
one
are
of the
gangs.
greatest presidents and doesn't get a lot of credit, Ike, Dwight Eisenhower. People don't understand that if it wasn't for Dwight Eisenhower, our road system wouldn't be. He developed the interstate
See,
highway
folks,
system.
we're covering politics.
And
We're covering
if you're going to go
opinions here.
presidents, what about Franklin D. Roosevelt? 4 times. 4 times he was president.
President Obama.
But they're not in Mount Rushmore. So I mean, Mount Rushmore's stupid, and it's just a landmark.
Well,
to visit.
then that makes my point even stronger about what
yeah,
you're
because
talking
you
about
know
with
what?
sports.
This whole thing was brought up by athletes, so that just about says.
And we're down to the last minute, folks. So
Yeah.
thank you for watching the show. Thanks,
Absolutely.
John the Tiger Kiger, for being here and staying awake with us tonight. We appreciate it. We got Erin Ward. I heard she walked in. I didn't see her.
I seen her.
I didn't. Well, I don't know how you saw her, but we were here early. Devin Shea, thanks again for doing everything. We got our timer here, so we're almost out of time.
And hey, Aaron, those cupcakes last night were the bomb.
And as a special second anniversary again for Chip and Stephanie Hayner, the cake was delicious. I
Same place he
enjoyed
got
it.
his wedding cake.
That's what I hear. That's the synchronicity of the universe.
Hey, look out, Daytona.
Zach Brenner's going
Can't
to miss
wait,
Monday
man.
night
Can't
show.
wait.
He's going to give us reports, so we'll get that. Smoking Jim's going to report on the T-shirts because he's drumming up business all over the country, especially in Sip Sports Bar. Get your T-shirts. He'll show you how to order them. You can go online.
Drum
It's
up some
easy.
business in God's country, for
And
God's sake.
thanks for watching the show on Verizon 32, Comcast 7, and we appreciate all the likes. Be safe out there. We're getting some warm
Stay
weather.
classy.